Hi students, it's Jennifer again. So before we practiced the comparatives, now we're going to look at the superlatives, right? So the superlative form of adjectives. Again, I am using the basic grammar PowerPoint supplements resources from Betty Azar and Stacy Hagen. So we see an example here. We have a big family. My brother is older than me. Grandpa is the oldest of all, right? So comparative form, right? Which we've practiced already, right? We say my brother is older than me, okay? But if we add the superlative, right? The superlative form is when we are comparing more than two things, right? So for example, in that first sentence, right? My brother is older than me. How many people are we talking about? Right? We're talking about me and we're talking about my brother. That's two people. If we want to compare more than two people, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or any number more than 2, we use the superlative form. The superlative form would be Grandpa is the oldest of all. Again, the oldest of all, right? If we're looking at this family, right, the grandpa is the oldest of all. He is the oldest of all the people, right? Like the 6 people in the picture. He is the most old. No, we can't say the most old, but he is, right, the oldest. So that is the form for anything that's comparing 2 or more people. Okay, so now how do we make the superlative form? So the superlative form follows the comparative form. So if you remember the comparative form, it will be very similar. So our adjectives with one syllable, so our small adjectives, one sound, one syllable. For example, old, right? Comparative form is older, right? We add the ER. So for the superlative form, comparing again more than 2 things, it is the or the and oldest, right? So we need the and we need est at the end, right? So the oldest, right? So that's for adjectives with one syllable, small adjectives, right? Now, for some small adjectives like big, do you remember what happens with big, right? Remember what happens, right? We have to add a second G. Remember, why do we add the extra G? Why do we double it? Because we look at the 3 last letters. If the last letter is consonant, and then the letter before it is a vowel, and the letter before that is a consonant, we need to double the last letter, right? So we make 2 of those, right? So in the same way, following that, big, to make the superlative form, would be the biggest, right? Again, we need the in the front, we need to double the G, and then we add the EST. Okay. Now, Continuing, one more. Adjectives that end in Y. Do you remember what we do with adjectives that end in Y? For example, pretty, drop the Y, right? Remember, we drop the Y for adjectives that end in Y, and we change the Y, right? The Y becomes the letter I, right? And then we add ER for the comparative, so prettier, right? So the superlative form, what is the superlative form of pretty? It would be the prettiest, the prettiest. So again, we need the in front, always with superlative. When we're comparing more than two things, we need the and est, and also that special, right, I instead of the Y. Okay, so thinking about one more, right? For easy, right, we drop the Y, change it to an I, and easy becomes easier for the comparative form. So superlative form would be the easiest, right? So again, we need the, we change the Y to an I, and we add est. So if you can remember the comparative forms and remember the rules, superlative follows the same rules. The difference is the ending is not ER, right? The ending is EST, right? And of course you need the in the front, right? Just like comparative, right? Comparative, is it only ER? Like, she is prettier, my mother? Remember, we need than, right? With our comparatives. Easier. Oof, writing with the mouse is hard. Easier than, right? Okay, so from here, you are going to practice this with some additional activities.